think about it. Deutsche Bank, we understand, another 1,000 jobs to go. Commerzbank. This is a sea change within a very short period of time. What's driving this shift of gears?
Yeah, well, as you say, it is a sea change, and I think it has to do with the not many options left open for the banks. And on the revenue side, as you said, especially in Europe, so there is very little to do because of the very low level of interest rate, the very low level of Euribor, and also the very flat shape of the yield curve. So it's typically for a traditional bank is very tough work. And of course, so not all the banks can push on the commission and fees because not everyone is so successful in doing that. So unfortunately, the only way up is to cut costs in a more say route fashion. And Commerzbank, I think, is very much a case in point because that's something they always was very recalcitrant in doing.
Filippo, it's Anna here. So when we last heard from Mario Draghi, he seemed quite clear that he didn't think the ECB and the low interest rate environment that it and other central banks have created was really to blame here. He thinks there are other problems. Whilst that might be true, you think the timing has very much to do with the ECB, do you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there is a strong presumption that it has to do with the monetary policy of the ECB, and I mean, they recognize it, so they quoted in many speeches, they look at the valuation of the banks on the stock market, they look at the price to tangible book and price to book, and there is a factor which is influencing the decision of the banks in cutting costs in a more strong fashion.
Filippo, as I look at this story, I've written down here the single resolution mechanism. The very fact of the matter is, last Monday when we walked into work, the market panicked because they didn't believe there was a government backstop. I put it to you that the markets simply do not believe in the resolution mechanisms created by European regulators.
Yeah, well, let's say the idea was to do in Europe something kind similar to what the Americans do with the FDIC, and really in America it really works because over the weekend they can close the bank. Of course, so barring is Lehman, which takes a bit more time. But the problem in Europe, yeah, we have this mechanism which is in place, and so we have this fund which is being contributed to by the different banks. But then again, so when it comes to the very large interrelated banks, from a rational point of view, it's very difficult to expect this mechanism to be put in place.